Welcome to Big Life Weekly Series, where we empower high achievers to break free from limits, unlock their natural potential, and live a big life. I'm your host, Robert Acosta, and each week we will explore the strategies, mindsets, and tools you need to thrive, not just in your professional career, but in every aspect of your life. Whether you're a leader looking for a better balanced life, an entrepreneur aiming for sustainable success, or someone ready to take the next step toward your best self, this podcast is your space to grow, reflect, and take action. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, I'm Robert Acosta. I'm with Jimmy Davies from Every.Black LLC in North Carolina in USA. Welcome, Jimmy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. So let's get started right away to showcase your business.
Okay.
So, Jimmy, can you give us a 90-second overview of what your business does and why you got into it?
Okay, sure. Well, Every Dot Black, we're a support group for entrepreneurs. And my background is as a computer instructor and database developer, teaching people how to use software. But about 10 years ago, I was trying to decide what do I really want to do, always helping other corporations, government agencies. So I created Every Dot Black to help small businesses, entrepreneurs with their technology to help them with their businesses.
So, what do you enjoy the most about your work in this technology business?
I think I enjoy the most is when people get it, right? Some people get it, catch on right away how they can use technology in their businesses. Some people it takes a little longer, but when the light bulb goes on, when they understand how to use that particular application to help improve efficiency and profitability, then that's rewarding for me. And especially now, I say, unless you're living under a rock, now the big thing is AI. Everything is AI.
Right.
So we've been doing a lot of AI training, teaching people how to use AI for their businesses as well.
You like that personal touch of training people and really that human connection of getting the thing done.
Yeah, especially like I said, when I'm showing them or exposing them to a particular application, and then they're creating things, they go off and create things and make differences in their businesses or partner with other people, or sometimes even create things that I can't create. For example, just years ago, I used to teach people how to use Photoshop. And I learned that I do not have a graphic eye. I knew how to use the tools, but I would teach people how to use Photoshop, some photographers, and they'd create things that like amazed me with the tools that I taught them to use, but they had that eye that I didn't necessarily have. So
Yeah, I guess.
that's rewarding.
Yeah, so I guess the technology is the enabler, but the creativity is still a human task, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So how do you define success in the work you do?
Well, I think for the work that I do, I think that again it opening eyes. And I say about 10 years ago, I really started to combine the technology piece with entrepreneurship, teaching entrepreneurs how to use technology. Before that, I was always teaching people how to use the computers, how to use software, and I was a database developer for many years. But once I started helping people with their businesses, encouraging people to become entrepreneurs, and especially people of African descent, because I tell them that we've overcome slavery and you've got your civil rights, but there's a economic um, inequality, and to close that gap, I think you have to be through entrepreneurship. And no matter what type of business you have today, you've got to use technology. So when I can help people bridge that gap and maybe earn a living or do better for themselves, then I feel successful. I feel like I've accomplished my goal.
So you would say that even you promote people that are not entrepreneurs right now to say you can be an entrepreneur and go out of and bridge that gap in your life, let's say, but you can use technology. So if you don't think you can do it, well, you have this partner, which is the technology that can
Exactly.
helps you do the jump, make the jump, right?
Exactly. And so we have part of our program, we have a support group for entrepreneurs. We meet each week on Zoom. since we meet on Zoom, people, it doesn't matter where they're located, they're able to join us. And I tell people as well is that it's something I've heard, and I repeat it. No one will ever pay you what you're worth. They will only pay you what you're worth to them.
Of course.
But if you really want to be paid what you're worth, you've got to be your own boss.
Hmm.
And then it's up to you what you're paid, and it's up to you to live up to your own potential.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. That's a personal decision. I want to be paid for my worth, what my life worth, and that's completely personal. It's a personal decision, right?
Exactly.
So,
And it's I was just going to say, and it's it's not for everybody, and some people are perfectly satisfied with where they are, and that's fine. But for those that have that hunger, or they know it doesn't feel quite right
mhm.
doing that 9 to 5, then yeah, we try to help those that find their way if that's what they want to do. But you have to have that passion. You have to have make that
Of
decision
course.
for yourself, and that's a
Yeah,
personal decision that this has to
yeah, of
make.
course. So I'm just curious, what is the biggest problem or challenge you see in your industry, and how are you solving that for yourself, your clients, colleagues, or any referral partner?
Fear,
Yeah.
fear of the unknown. I think that's the biggest challenge. Once, even whether it's a computer class or starting a business, whatever, once I get people beyond the fear, you know, then usually they can take off. And I have to watch it even for myself. Sometimes people tell you, why are you doing that, or maybe they don't see you in that particular role, and you can't buy into that. You have to follow your own, in my opinion, follow your own dream, your own passion, and not let the fears of others influence you and what you do and how you live your life. But I would say probably the biggest thing is that fear, being afraid of the unknown. And personally, I just have this opinion that I would rather try something and fail and learn from it than never try at all and spend the rest of my life wondering, what if? Especially if someone else comes along and does what I was thinking of doing.
Oh,
And I was like, well, I had that idea, yeah, but yeah, I didn't act on it.
exactly.
so so yeah, I would say I personally would rather try it, learn from it, even if it doesn't work out as expected. And it never works out as exactly as expected,
Of
but
course.
I still rather learn from it than not try and not know.
Yeah, it's funny how our minds work, right? Because fear paralyzes us. And for some people, fear really ignites you so to do
Yeah,
something. So it
that's
has
true.
like the same effect depending on the person. But your fear, the fear of failure or the fear of not getting where you want, and so you try to avoid that. But as you mentioned, I think the risk of keeping thinking that I should, maybe I would have done it and
Hmm.
had a different life, that is going to stay forever in your mind for the rest
Yeah,
of your life. So that
right.
risk, I think, is higher than the risk of failure or not making it, right?
I agree. And I just remember when I was much younger, and I love sports, but I didn't even try out for the team, and my buddies did. And I always thought, why? Not that I would have been some superstar, but at least knowing that I could have been as good as my friends. But I didn't try it, and I thought, from now on, I'm not going to not try. I'm going to at least try something that I'm really interested in. And I think also it takes an element of faith. You have to believe. And a good example is I tell people, if you're driving I'm in North Carolina, if I'm driving to New York, I can't see New York from North Carolina, but I may get in my car or whatever and I'm headed to New York. But if I run into a detour or an accident, I don't stop and go back home. I find my way around the accident, around the detour, and I continue on until I get to New York because I have faith that I will get there.
Right.
And I tell people that's how entrepreneurship is. It's like you start out and there will be obstacles, there will be
Of
detours.
course.
So you can either quit or you can figure out a way around the obstacles and detours until you get to your destination. So
Right.
I try to use that as an analogy, like you sight unseen, but you have faith that it will happen if you persist.
Yeah, it's a great analogy, and I think you mentioned faith. And I understand it like it's a faith with understanding. It's not the blind faith that you wish something happened. You get into your car and start moving. No, so you're doing
Right.
something, even though you only see the first 100 meters. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? You're not gonna see the next 100 until you cross the first 100, and then you
Exactly.
have to have faith that there's going to be another 100, and then just keep going, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's amazing. So, who is your ideal client? Who are the people that you like the most work with, and what significant outcomes can they expect when they connect and work with you?
I think the ideal client are, again, the people that have made that decision, serious decision, that they want to make a change in their lives, that that they want to learn if it's something that I can help them with their technology needs, when they've made that serious decision and commitment to do something, and then I can work with someone like that. And it doesn't matter the skill level, it doesn't matter. Uh, I think the commitment matters more so once they've really truly made that decision to put in the time, to put in the work, because it's not, nothing's for free.
Right.
But if they're willing to put in the time and the work, and I have several examples. One lady in particular comes to mind. She was a retired school educator, school teacher, and she wanted to learn how to podcast, and because she wanted to create a podcast about history, and her tech skills were zero,
Yeah.
literally.
Wow.
But we worked with her, and she was committed. Now she creates her own podcast. She creates her own movie clips. She's written a book. I mean, she just ran with it because she kept at it. And she's not a young lady either. Like I say, she was retired when I met her. So, and that was about maybe 5 or 6 years ago now.
Oh, that's a great example. Yeah, so everyone has that potential. And I always say everyone has exactly the same potential, but you just need a guide or a mentor that helps you draw that potential out into something that you want and something that you love. And
Exactly.
I can imagine that lady, it's living what I call a big life because she's doing what she loves and she's really impacting a lot of people because with the podcast, I guess she's
Exactly.
reaching thousands of people in the subject that she likes and maybe changing some people's lives, right?
Exactly. Right.
Well,
You're right.
you know how nowadays more people are actively seeking solutions to achieve better outcomes. Like you mentioned, a lot of people that want to start that entrepreneurship path, but they have a lot of doubts, a lot of fear. So
Hmm.
maybe what do they find in you? What do they find in you? Like what makes you unique in the way you help them achieve those outcomes?
Well, I think one, like I said, we do have a support group that meets each week, each Monday night, actually. And one of the things about the support group, whatever the level you're at, some people are still on the job thinking about it. Some people have been at it for 30 or 40, 50 years. But whatever the level, wherever you are, we don't, we try to be supportive. And the other thing that I think with my own personal personality, I learned a long time ago is that I'm very patient with people.
Hmm.
So I have this calming personality for the most part. So when they're learning about things that they don't know, I put them at ease to help them understand that it's not that complicated. We can do it. And then the other thing is I just take them step by step. I don't assume that they know anything. I don't talk geek, right?
Right.
I just make it plain everyday language, English, and step one, step two, step three. And if we didn't get it right, let's try it again and let's do it this way. And then the other thing, I try to get them to think. I don't want to just be like, take notes here, but think, understand the concepts behind whatever it is we're doing so they can figure it out on their own with a little guidance.
Right.
And so I've just developed that particular teaching skill over the years where just patiently working with people no matter where they are, always encouraging them, never, even rewarding the small achievements, reward them,
Of course.
and never make them feel bad or anything like that, and let them understand that they can get there with reassurance.
Right, that's amazing. Yeah, I think yeah, you work with a lot of people. We have a lot of kind of people. We have a lot of people that have different backgrounds, different, I would say, different stories, different conditioning that they really think that they can do this or not. But they are there, so they have that possibility, and you can pick that gap, and then patiently conduct them to the path that they need. So it's very personal, I would say. It's almost tailor-made teaching, I would say. Am I
It works out that way. And I tell people, one of my favorite quotes is by Henry Ford. And you may have heard it. It says, whether you think you can or not, you're right.
You're right.
And so if they believe they can do it, they can do it. Anyone can do it.
Wow.
But you have to believe that you can do it and just take it, like I say, step by step, and we'll get there.
Well, you've been doing this for a long time, I guess, and so
Yeah, I have.
so
But it's
can you tell us something like I would say the strangest or funniest incident you've
ooh,
experienced while working within your technology business or in this industry?
sure. Well, I'll tell you a couple things. One, I went going to school, I had no idea I'd be doing this at all. I
Oh,
didn't know what I wanted to do. I've been to I went to school to become a land surveyor, civil engineering,
mm,
and I learned very early on that I really didn't like working for someone else, and so I tried all different types of things, businesses. And I had a janitorial service, and a friend showed me a computer, a Macintosh back in like 1888, right?
wow.
And as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh man, I got to get into this. And so I started teaching people how to use computers right away the following year. But one of the several strangest stories. First of all, when I was doing the training, I lived in Virginia at the time, but I started going from city to city. At one point, I was servicing about 40 cities in 12 states, going from city to city providing training. During the 90s, all of the software was coming out and no one knew how to use any of it.
Mm,
And so they were just literally starving for someone to show them how to use the software. Met a lot of people. One guy in particular that I never forget, he had about 250 reptiles
wow.
of all types.
Oh,
uh, and he wanted a database to help him manage all of his reptiles.
mm,
And so I actually went to his home, and we worked on a database that morning to help manage these reptiles. And he would sell them, and some he would take them to the schools to show the kids. And around lunch break, he says, "Would you like to see my alligators?"
oh. Another.
And I said, "Alligators?" I said, "No." He said, "Yeah, I've got alligators in the basement."
Wow.
And I said, I passed. I said, "No, I don't think I want to see your alligators." So I asked him, I said, "What do you feed alligators?" And he said he would buy frozen rats.
Wow.
I know, it's kind of gross. And but he said that his wife made him get a separate refrigerator because he was keeping them in the refrigerator in the house. He had to get a separate refrigerator and put it in the basement for his alligators. Again, I did not see them, so I saw the turtles and I saw some lizards and I saw some snakes. I did not see the alligators.
That's it.
But about a year later, he was in Asheville, North Carolina. About a year later, I was back in Asheville, and he came to my class. He came to the class that I was doing, and a long gash on his arm. And his name was Charles. I said, "Charles, what happened to you?" He said one of his alligators got him.
Oh, wow.
And he had to get rid of the alligators. And he said that when he went to the hospital to get it, I guess, stitched up or whatever, they didn't believe that he really had alligators. So that was one of the strangest ones. But I've done a database for a Kentucky horse farm. They raised race horses.
Mm,
I created a database for a rug importer. She out of Charleston, South Carolina, and I helped her create a database system to manage the Turkish and Persian rugs she would have shipped over and then
right.
sold in the U.S. and the States. Um, I helped a guy with his insurance. I think he was really ahead of his time. He was with Metropolitan Life Insurance for years,
Mm,
and he retired. And he decided that he wanted to start his own insurance brokerage firm, but have it all online. Well, because he had it online, his insurance agents, he was able to pay them a higher commission because he did not have the overhead. He just ran it out of his home.
Right.
He didn't have the overhead of a building or buildings. And his insurance agents loved it because they were getting a greater commission. And he, last time I checked, he had about 300 agents selling insurance through his brokerage firm.
Wow.
So those are just a few stories that come to mind of the interesting people that I've met along the way, helping them with their technology.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned at the beginning, well, a few minutes ago, that when you were at school, you didn't know what you wanted to do or to be,
I didn't know.
and guess what? You ended up doing everything because you're in every industry because you understand a lot of businesses through technology. So technology
Exactly.
connected to you to every industry, not one in particular. A civil engineer, it would have been one industry, one niche. So
That's
even though
true.
your niche is technology, you are connecting with any kind of industry, any level of entrepreneurship, and any kind of weird things that you can experience, like the alligators one.
All right. Well, I'll tell you one more is that I feel really good about is that during the Gulf War, I was doing some computer training for the U.S. Army,
Mm,
and they wanted some software to help manage the transportation of troops and materials. And there was a program called I Think, EYE Think.
mm-hmm.
And they actually came to me and they asked me if I knew it, if I could train them on it, and I didn't know it. But I said, sure, we can do it. And so I went out and bought the program and I learned it. And because of my math background, that really helped a lot.
Right.
But then we trained them on how to uh, manage a lot of the logistics of the Gulf War and for one of the military bases in Virginia at the time. So,
There you go. You found the best job of the best. Yeah, I wouldn't say hobby, but the best way to learn everything. And
yeah.
I know you have a very curious mind, and that's why you adapt to any kind of industry, and that's amazing. I think that's why you have had a beautiful life, a very enriched life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. As we were talking, I'm thinking of more and more clients. One last one. I also helped a spine surgeon. He provides spine surgeries, and he wanted a database system to help him manage his clinic, his spine clinic.
Hmm.
So I helped him with that as well. So you're right. I don't have a medical background, but I learned a lot about medicine by working in his clinic.
Right.
Or I learned a lot about rugs or about horses or that type of thing. So
Yeah, and we can talk later about that math background that you have, because I have that math background. And when you really learn to understand things, like in the math, you need to understand things, not just to memorize things. Then you
right.
have that particular ability or talent to do the same with human beings or to any industry, really to go deeper into understand why you say what you're saying, why you are afraid, why you behave the way you behave. And that's a connection that maybe subconsciously you have built in your mind, and that's why you're patient with your clients, and that you connect in a human way, and they feel great, and they really learn, because you need to understand and have that empathy with people if you want them to do something different, and even something scary for them. So I think that's a great talent that you have.
Well, thank you. And I think a part of it is I experienced some things myself from past experiences, so I could relate as well.
Oh,
So.
definitely. So, what do you see as the coming trends in within your business? Well, technology, I know it's moving very, very fast. So how you stay on top of that?
Well, I try. It's moving faster than it's ever moved before
I
with
know.
this with AI. Literally every week, there's something new being announced with AI, and I don't know if anyone can stay up on all the changes. But I tell people, I tell one again, don't be afraid of it, but we have to embrace it. It's not going away, and I believe that there will be two types of businesses in the future. those that use AI and those that are out of business.
Hmm.
In my 37 years, I guess it's been since I've been in this field, this is the biggest thing I've seen by far.
Wow.
It's to me, it's amazing. And I tell people just you don't have to know all of the applications, but just pick one. Maybe it's ChatGPT or what Gemini or Perplexity or whatever. Now DeepSeek is on the scene. But the bottom line is pick one and begin to learn how to use it. How can you? It can help you improve on your business or whatever your career, whatever it is you're doing. But yeah, I don't know if anyone can stay up on all of it. But what we do also is we have weekly tutoring sessions, and by me helping others, that really helps me to learn and stay abreast of things.
Right.
Because if someone, for example, I have a lady next week, she wants to learn Perplexity, which is an AI application. I'm familiar with Perplexity, but now I've got to brush up on Perplexity to make sure that I can deliver for her
Hmm.
what she wants to do with it. So helping others actually keeps keeps me in the game, if you want to say. So that does help.
Yeah, as I say, you have that talent that you don't need to know everything, but your talent is to have the ability to understand anything very quickly because you have been doing it for years. You have that preparation, that gymnastic in your mind when you were at school, but you really started your career when you started to learn new things across these 37 years.
Yeah,
So that talent, that ability, you're like a human AI because that's what AI does, right? To learn by itself,
yeah,
but with a human touch that AI will never replace. So in that
yeah,
way, as you say, you're going to be in business because you know how to use AI. Whoever doesn't know, it's going to be out of business, and mostly
yeah.
you're going to have that human touch that AI will never replace.
Yeah, it'd be a serious disadvantage. And I tell people, I heard this once. It says, to a kindergartner,
Hmm.
a third grader is a genius. So I don't have to know it all. I
Of
just have to
course.
make sure
Just
that
one
I'm
level above the other people, and that's it. Yes, that's very
exactly,
smart.
exactly.
So, what advice would you give to someone just starting within this technology industry? Someone like you, 37 years ago, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago, when you
Mhm.
decided to come and to start doing what you do in this industry. But now, with AI and with in the 21st century, what advice would you give to someone that is just starting this business?
Well, I say first of all, start, act, even if it seems overwhelming. Just act, just start. Find a group, find a group or an individual maybe that's doing what you want to do.
Hmm.
Find someone that's doing what you want to do, and just take them to lunch. Pick their brain,
Right.
learn from them. I've had really amazing mentors along the way that helped me along the way. Think when I want to learn something, just gravitate to be around the people that you want to learn from,
Of course.
and don't be afraid to just start. I say it's a journey. The longer you wait to start the journey, the longer it takes before you get there. But you have to just start at some point, even if it's just small steps.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to jump in and start and learn from those that are already doing it. Pick someone else's brain,
Yeah,
seek
that's
them out.
that's a great advice. So have that mentality of the apprentice all the time, like learning. Because even in this industry, that is always is changing every week. You said you better have that ability to keep learning. Because
Yes.
as someone say, the learned are the experts are
Hmm.
very well suited to a world that doesn't exist anymore. So you will
Hmm.
never be an expert, mainly in this industry. You have to be a learner all the time, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So okay, so what is the biggest failure? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the failure or challenge. I can sugarcoat it as challenge. What is the biggest challenge you faced to this point in your life, and how that has that shaped the way you do business?
Some of the early things that I tried, um, that I thought were great ideas, and you learn along the way. I just try to learn from each one. One I thought I had started a professional waiters academy. That's what I. Anyway, The idea was that when you go into restaurants, and sometimes the waiters or waitresses do not give you good service.
Hmm.
So why not try start an academy to teach waiters and waitresses how to serve customers better? And I found a restaurant that agreed to let me train their staff there or train staff there. And I found an experienced person that was in the restaurant business. And I worked on that probably for about a year. Everyone thought it was a great idea, but no one wanted to pay for it. And so I realized just because it's a great idea, which is great, one, it really truly wasn't my passion. It was just an idea, and I thought this would be a great idea to make some money. It wasn't like I was all that interested. Whereas computers, I'm just passionate about computers and I want to read about it and how did it work and all of that. But I learned that just because it's a great idea, if I'm not passionate about it and the market is not willing to pay, then maybe I need to reevaluate what I'm doing here. If there's no one, like I say, everyone thought it was a great idea, but no one wanted to pay for it. None of the restaurants wanted to pay for it. So,
Yeah, people needed to see the value. The value
exactly.
in business, well, the value is not necessarily a happy customer, but it has to be in terms of money, even though a happy customer is a returning customer, which eventually is going to be more money. But sometimes people don't do that connection directly, right?
Right.
So let's talk about
So,
the future. What is the next growth area for you and for your business? What's next?
well, what I really like to do, or we plan to do, is the things that we've been doing primarily in North Carolina. I want to scale it out larger. I want to scale it because I believe that especially since we're on Zoom, and we've been doing it for quite a while. I believe we have a good product to help people no matter where they may be.
Right.
And what brought that to my attention as well is that I started getting people from the Caribbean that started coming to our meetings.
Mm.
And I started getting people from different parts of Africa coming to our meetings. And so that was a wake up call. It's like it's not just people in the US that want to think about entrepreneurship or better their lives or learn how to use technology, but also people in other parts of the world. And so one of the things my word for this year is scalability, to scale up, to reach people not just in the US, but around the world. And with technology, there's no reason why we can't do that on a larger scale than we're doing right now. So that's kind of my immediate goals, but to continue to teach people how to use technology, to continue to promote entrepreneurship, but just do it on a larger scale.
Right. Yeah, if there's something that is global, it's technology. It's like one language across the
Yes.
world that everyone can talk and everyone has to jump in. Well, most of us, I think, we already jumped in. Otherwise, unless you live in a cavern or in the woods doing anything but this, right? So
Right.
here's a funny question. So, if you could have lunch with one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Ooh. Nelson Mandela comes to mind.
Wow.
Uh, Nelson Mandela, how did he survive mental? How did he keep his sanity all those years in prison
Jail.
and then still come out with an attitude of like of just forgiveness and not and to become president of his own country. That how do you do that? How are you in prison for 20, was it 25 years or whatever, and then come out and unify a nation and become the president of a nation? Like, to me, that's amazing.
Yeah, an example of resilience, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the first person that comes to mind as like that.
yeah. Oh, well, that's amazing. Yeah, it's a great example of something that we we have every time. Every time we have challenges and we have barriers and obstacles, and sometimes we say, "Oh, there's an obstacle. I'm going to stop there." When
Mm.
you know you have that potential to overcome it, and that is a great example of you can overcome even the unimaginable. And
Yeah,
so just seeing at his story, they say, whatever happens to me, it's below that. So that means that I can do it. I can overcome it. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's a great example that that it can mark your life, can really guide your life. Even though he's already not here, but I think it's someone that is can be in our minds. You can remind us every time that we have a challenge or a problem. This is nothing, so I can
Hmm.
overcome it. Right?
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
So, what is the best way for people to contact you if they'd like to work with you or discuss referral partnerships?
Sure. Well, like I said, our website is every.black, and it's EVERY
Hmm.
dot BLACK. Not, and so our slogan is no.com, no.net, just every.black. Black is the new.com. And it's kind of funny the way that came about is that I really, well, the .black domain was created to represent excellence, like black tie or black, black
So,
robe, judge's black robe or the little black dress, that type of thing. And I just liked it. It just fit. I had some other websites. I had everyblackentrepreneur.com, everyblackprofessional.com. But
mhm.
when I just saw the every dot black, I just shortened it to that.
Okay.
But as far as how to reach me, that's the easiest way through the website. We have links there for our meetings. My contact information is there. My email address, Jimmy at every dot black on my shirt here.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, and then I invite people to attend our meetings. They're free and open to the public every Monday evening. And once they come and they see what we're about, we have guest speakers each week. We read about entrepreneurship during the meetings, and we network. And we just do that every Monday. Read about entrepreneurship, guest speakers to learn from on different aspects of entrepreneurship, and then network with one another from around the world. And that's free and open to the public.
Right.
And then if they actually join, then we can help you with the classes or promote your business or help you set up a podcast or whatever it is, online store, whatever it is you want to do. So
That's great. The full package.
the whole package, right?
Perfect. So, well, that was amazing. I truly enjoyed our conversation,
Great.
Jimmy. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Well, I appreciate it. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for joining me on Big Life Weekly series. I hope today's episode gave you the insight, inspiration, and tools you need to move closer to the life you're meant to live. Remember, true success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about how you feel while you achieving it. If you found value in our conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with others who are ready to embrace their big life. Until next time, stay focused, keep growing, enjoy life, and break free.